In the hills of Leander, Texas is a home for sale that has this view from the second floor balcony. If you like open concept homes with amazing views, then stick with me for a great home tour. Now this is the Larimar plan. It was built by Taylor Morrison Homes. We have 5 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms. We're over 4,200 square feet, and this home is for sale at $1,075,000. Now, we're also in one of the most popular neighborhoods in the northwest corridor of the Austin, Texas metro area. You might have already heard about it. It's called Traviso, and why it's so popular, I think you can see why right here. It has these open concept homes that have tall ceilings, windows everywhere, and it really captures the beauty that's in and around Austin, Texas. And we're gonna go right out to that beauty because you can see it right here in the main living area. And so I'm gonna show you so many different angles of the views that are in this home. We're gonna talk about the upgrades that are in this Larimar plan, and also I'm gonna talk about the bidding that happened in this community during the pandemic. In a nutshell, people were bidding just on the lots, not the homes, the lots to build these homes, anywhere from $200,000 to $800,000. And later on in the video, I'm going to tell you how many clients I had win bids, and I had 20 plus clients bidding on a weekly basis in this community. I think you'll be surprised at how many people actually won. Now, we're going to start here in the kitchen, and I did want to give a shout out to the listing agent, Sailesh Thakker at All City Real Estate. Really appreciate Sailesh. And also, my name is Raj Sahu. I'm a realtor here in Austin, Texas, and I've represented clients with 21 different builders. And what my clients say about kitchens like this is it's all about the countertops. Take a look at the veins that are running through that kitchen island countertop, and they did that same countertop into the backsplash above this 5-burner gas stovetop. And I think the veins that are running through that countertop really get pulled out by the cabinet color that's here in the kitchen. And there's so much to see in the upgrades that were shown in here. Wait until you get to the primary bathroom, where they picked a very interesting tile choice all on the floor, all on the wall, and I can't wait for you to see these different upgrades. But I think for this specific home it's all about the views, because this is why people were bidding so much during the pandemic. I can't tell you how many times people would come to a home like this. They'd look down at the kitchen sink, they'd imagine doing the dishes or entertaining or having their friends or family over, and they would look over through the windows off the back of the home. They would take in that view, and they would absolutely fall in love with the idea of moving to the middle of Texas, where they never thought there was beauty or greenery or topography out here right in the middle of Texas. But there is, and I'm gonna get back to that backyard patio in a second. I'm gonna show you the views from the patio, but I did want to show you something that I've found is important. A lot of people tell me storage in the pantry is really important, and I think in this plan they do some good storage. Also, I like the light there. It's automatic, so as soon as you open that door and go in, it senses your motion and the lights just go on. So I was just demonstrating it for you right there. And then there's also a great butler's pantry area here. And I think from some angles in the kitchen, it feels like the cabinets are endless because it goes all the way down into that butler's pantry area. And I like how they extended it there. There's even more storage here, where I think you could put maybe like a broom or some cleaning supplies there. But even behind me, behind the pantry, I should say, there's another secondary pantry. And for some people, they say this is their dream. They want views off the back of their home. But when they come back from Costco and they have so many goods that they're taking out of their trunk, they need places to store it. And so they tell me they love views. They also love pantries. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Also, let me know what you think about this dining room, because the view right from this dining area is absolutely incredible. Some people tell me, hey, I want to open those windows to let a breeze in, but a lot of people tell me they hate how the window frame cuts out the middle of those windows. So if you want to open those windows, you want ventilation, I'm going to give you a hack of what you can do in a second. I also wanted to show you that through this patio door, I should have lifted the blinds so you could see through the patio door into the greenery in the backyard, but I think you get the point, and I think I just need to get out to this backyard patio so you can see this. And I'm giving you permission to replay this part of the video as much as possible, because you have to take this in. And the hack I want to give you is, I've had a lot of people put in electrical in the ceiling of the patio and then do mosquito blinds, but when those blinds come down, you can still see out through those nets, and the mosquito nets allow for a lot of ventilation to still come in. And I've had people do those. They're motorized, so you just click a button, they come down, and then they open up the sliding glass doors and really open up that space, and so much ventilation comes in. But let me throw ventilation to the side because you have to see this. First off, we have a usable backyard space, which is unusual when we have these lots that back up to a view. Sometimes there's a big slope in that backyard, but I think for this one, you get the beauty of the greenery here, a usable backyard space, but most importantly, peace of mind. So many people tell me they want to look out their backyard and just see beautiful views because it brings them peace. It also gets them excited to get outdoors and enjoy hiking, biking. It just gets them out of their shell. And I get that from so many people. And that's why 2 of my clients are building a second floor balcony just like this. Let me show you one of them right here. Hey, real quick, I'm on a second floor balcony of my client's home that's building from scratch. And they are so excited to enjoy this view. They haven't closed on their home yet. It still needs a backyard, still needs flooring in the home. So we got a couple more months, but I can't wait for them to enjoy this amazing view off their second floor balcony. But how this started is we first looked through so many different options with different builders to understand pricing. And I built out a Trello board that looks similar to this so that they could track their options all at their fingertips and understand what pricing looks like from an unbiased perspective. And what I mean by that is I never looked at any of these lots and said, you have to buy this or you have to buy with a particular builder. I, in an unbiased way, looked at these different options, put in accurate pricing, and they were able to land a great lot with a great builder for a good price compared to the other options that were there. So if you want that for you, you want that unbiased perspective, you want a Trello board that tracks all your options, go ahead and scan this QR code that you see on the left side of your screen, and that will start a conversation with me through text on my cell phone, and then let's get on the phone, and I'd love to know more about your criteria so we can get you into an option that looks like this. All right, back to the video. Now, I hope you're loving the views that are in here. We still have so much to see in this amazing home that's for sale because there are different upgrades that were done in this home that I think are very interesting that do add square footage to the plan. One of those upgrades, while we get into the living room here and you see that it's open to the second story from so many different angles, is one of those upgrades is extending the dining room, extending the primary bedroom where we're going next, as well as putting in a second floor balcony and extending the game room upstairs. And you're gonna see all that in a second. But first, what I have to go back to is this main living area before we get to that primary bedroom, because you gotta see how well this looks when you are open to the second story and you got a view right off your shoulder. And this is what I want you to imagine. When people are looking at the Austin metro area, they tell me they want to see views, they want to move here for the beauty, the greenery, and to have that right in your living room, right off your shoulder is incredible. And that's why so many people look at this community called Traviso, and I'll cover a little bit more about Traviso a little bit later. I'll talk about pricing and how pricing's evolved, and I'll give you one of the risks that I'm seeing with buyers when they're buying in a community that's very popular like this. And it's a mistake that I see often, especially in these new build communities that have a lot of great marketing and that have been known to the public because they've been marketing this community for years. Now, we're gonna get to that later. We're also gonna show that second floor balcony that I've talked about constantly. But I wanna show you this upgrade that they did in the primary bedroom where they do an extension off the back of the home. And I think this adds a ton of space here. And you see that with the staging that they put in this home. I think it's perfect if you are somebody that says, well, I'm expecting, or I have, baby on the way, I need a little bit more space in here for a crib. I think this room is perfect, and this is what I think of when I look at rooms like this, because my wife and I have a 3 and a 1-year-old at home, so we kind of just went through that phase of, middle of the night, bottle feeding, milk for one of our babies, and when they're crying in the middle of the night, the last thing you want to do is go up and down a stairwell and get out to your baby, and you're shuffling to get the milk out to them as fast as possible. And for some people, they'd rather just have that in their primary bedroom. Now, while we look through the primary bathroom, which has some really cool upgrades in here, let me know what you think in the comments about some of the veins running through this tile and how they went all dark on the tile. So they did that tile all on the wall, they did that on the floor. One thing I want to go back to is how people
sleep during the night? Because that's one of the biggest talking points. And for one of my clients that's building on this street, if they're watching, congratulations to them. I'm so excited because they shared some really good news about their family expanding. And I love hearing that news, especially when I have somebody who's building from scratch, building their dream home. And for them, I'm always curious what people are planning to do with sleep arrangements. And this is the big thing my wife and I were trying to, we were struggling with, like every other parent. And that was, should we both sleep next to the crib? And then when the baby gets up, we both get up? Or does one of us crash on the couch? Do we sleep in a spare bedroom? Like, what's the way to do this? And I'm always curious how people strategize around this, because as you already know, if you have kids, sleeping is very difficult to accomplish. And for a lot of people, if they don't have a plan and both spouses are not sleeping, that's usually a recipe for disaster, because then you're both zombies trying to go through your day, and it's really difficult to operate at that level. And so I found having a strategy and figuring out where your crib's going to be, what sleep arrangements are going to be, is really important. And so always curious what people are doing. Now, getting back into the home here, there's still a lot to see here, because I mentioned some upgrades they did in the back of the home, but one of the upgrades they did on the front of the home is what we'll get to in a second, and I think you have to do it in this plan, the Larimar plan. Now, one of the big upgrades that I think you also have to do is going to be the downstairs secondary bedroom. And this is what takes the space of the tandem garage that's in this home. And so I'm going to show you the garage here in a second. But the reason why this is important is a lot of people tell me they have somebody elderly, they don't want going up and down the steps, or some people say they don't want their crib in their bedroom. They want to have the crib on the first floor though. And so they want to have this bedroom area for their baby. And so it's either, I feel like I get a lot of babies or parents or somebody elderly staying with them on the first floor. And for a lot of people, this is a must-have. And so I've had many clients look at options, and even if they don't need it, in some of these master plan communities, I am advising people definitely get this second bedroom upgrade, just because for future resale, I found a lot of properties who don't have this will suffer when they try to resell this home. And so this is the type of advice that we're trying to give people, because I got lots of data around what I just mentioned, that if you don't do that, you can be in trouble. And so I think for this home, they did that. They have a water softener loop here in the garage. The disadvantage though is now you only have a 2-car garage, and we are, over 4,200 square feet, like I mentioned previously. And so that is the compromise that I think people need to make. So let me know what you think about that. Do you value the garage space? Do you value the bedrooms? Downstairs, like a secondary bedroom. Obviously, a lot of people value utility room. I think this is smart, where they did a pre-plumb for a sink. So in the future, you could easily put a sink in there, or just grab one of those sinks from Home Depot, and that connects in easily. You also, to my knowledge, can do an upgrade that puts a door in there that goes from the closet to the primary closet to that utility room. So if you're somebody who hates the idea of taking your dirty laundry through your home, maybe you're doing that right now on the West Coast or the Northeast part of the United States, and maybe your utility room's in the basement, and you are so tired of taking your dirty laundry in and out of the basement, going up and down those steps. And I hear you. I grew up in Pennsylvania. That was my whole life, is going into the basement to do my laundry. And when I see homes like this that have that upgrade, I think that that's interesting. And when I see homes like this one that we're touring that doesn't have that upgrade, heaven forbid you got to walk out the hallway out to your primary closet. And I'm joking, but for some people, they don't want to do that, right? Hey, if you got back problems, you don't want to go through your house with your laundry. I totally get it. And so on one hand, it's better than going to a basement. On the other hand, some people want that upgrade. So you let me know what you want. Now in the dining room here, we got a lot of space. We have great windows that bring in a lot of natural light here. As you can tell, there's a lot of construction still on this street, but hopefully that will wrap up sometime this year. What I've had people do from a design standpoint is make this into an accent wall. And so that when you first walk in the front door, your eyes want to go up like we saw previously. It just shows the ceiling height, and that's what I think this plan really shows off. You can obviously see right out through the hillside behind this home because the views are amazing. And then I think having accent walls close to your eyes when you first walk in is great from a design standpoint because it draws your eyes side to side. And I've seen people do that in a dining room. I've also had clients do that in their study. And this is one of the upgrades that I think you have to do, which is usually this is a flex space on the Larimar plan, but they did a study. And all that really means is it encloses the space, it adds double doors. And I think for a lot of people that are in this community that are working from home, maybe they work for Amazon or Apple or one of the big tech companies, or maybe they're just in tech, they work from home, or maybe they're not in tech, but they still do a lot of work from home and they need a space that they can get some work done. I think having that at the front of your home is super important. And from a design standpoint, those walls becoming an accent wall, or like they did here, you could also just make it into artwork. These are all things that my clients tell me they love about their homes after they move in. Hey, real quick, check out the view from my client's second floor balcony that's also building on this same street in Traviso. And I'm so excited to see them close on their home and enjoy this amazing view off the back of their home. But I gotta tell you, it started first with seeing options on a Trello board that looked just like this, where I laid out all the options, final pricing, and we were able to arrive at what I thought was the best option at the time they were contracting. And you see that option right here, and I'm so excited to see them get into this home. But I'll be excited also if you're looking at great views in the Austin, Texas metro, you want to know what your best options are, then reach out to me. My number's at the bottom of the description of this video. Back to the video. Now, there's still so much to see here. We got that second floor balcony coming up that's right through those windows. I can't wait for you to see that view. There is also a media room, and then wait until you see how large the game room is, because again, on this home, they did do an extension off of that game room, which you'll see here in a second. But I want to go through one of the bedrooms here. We're also going to cover pricing in Traviso, kind of compare it to some other communities that also have some topography that are not Traviso, but I think are still options that my clients are considering when they're looking at being in an area that has a lot of topography that captures the beauty that's here in the Austin metro. But I want to first show one of the bedrooms that's here. This is what makes this a 5-bedroom, 4.5 bathroom home. I think putting a walk-in shower in here is smart, just because this bedroom is a little bit more private than the other ones. And so doing something like this, maybe you have older kids that don't want to bathe in a bathtub or something like that. They're maybe a little bit bigger, so they need a walk-in shower. And I think this is a great bedroom for that, or it's a great guest bedroom. So for a lot of people with young kids, those young kids go down at hopefully 7 p.m., but usually like 8 p.m., 8:30, 9 p.m. And when those young kids go down, when you have a guest over, you don't want them to be like tiptoeing around. And what's nice about this plan is you got 2 bedrooms, one around the corner there that share a Jack and Jill full bathroom. And then this bedroom is a little bit more private. And these are the things that I find people are complaining about in their current location, and that's why they're looking at moving to the Austin, Texas metro area, because they see homes like this and they think it's a solution to their problem. And their big problem is they want an open concept home, tall ceilings everywhere, but they still want to have privacy within that home. And if you don't have privacy within your own home, that's where people tell me it feels like we're living on top of each other. It feels like we need more square footage. And then they see homes like this, over 4,200 square feet. They see huge game rooms like this. And even though it's empty, they just imagine putting a pool table here, having this as a kid's play area, and just being able to enjoy that amazing view. And I'm just crouching down so you can kind of see what the view would look like from various heights. This is me standing up tall. I say tall, I'm 5'8". I feel like I get a lot of people that ask me that. And it's because they're like, well, what does the view look like at your height? Like, how tall are you? And I love it. It's usually engineers asking that question. And I love the level of detail to the point where I feel like I'm commenting on my height so people know where the camera is. And I hold my camera kind of right around my mouth and just below my eyes, so I can kind of see right over it. So maybe that's like 5'7" then? I don't know. I would have to, I need one of my engineer clients to measure it when I'm doing a video, and then we can talk further. Okay, now they are doing construction out here, so if you hear that noise, just try to put that to the side. And what I want you to imagine is when everybody's moved in and construction has stopped, is you can take a seat here in your second floor balcony, and this is the life. And this is why people move to Traviso. To get homes like this under 1.1 million, forever home. I mean, it's a 5-bedroom home, 4.5 bathrooms, over 4,200 square feet. And to look out at views like this is just absolutely incredible. And what's nice about Traviso is it's not just like a handful of homes that have views. I can even just look around and find homes like, take a look at that one. That looks like it's gonna have an incredible view. There's homes like you've seen already, one from one of my clients. And I'm not surprised that we had 2 clients build in on this street. I think it was a unique opportunity to get a great view at a price point that I thought was interesting. I can't disclose that price point on this public-facing video. We are in a non-disclosure state, and I keep that information private for my clients. But I do know what pricing looks like and how it fluctuates in this community. And I can tell you right now, if you want views like this, builders know that they can monetize how this makes people feel, because a lot of people want views. But what most people are not tracking is how these builders are changing pricing over time. And that's exactly what I'm gonna get to while we cover the media room and then 2 more bedrooms split by a full bathroom. What I wanna cover with pricing is take you back to a time when this area was so popular. And that was back in late 2020. Actually, the builder Taylor Morrison was one of the first builders to move to bidding. And a lot of people didn't like that because obviously now you're bidding against everybody. It's never really happened before in these areas. You could usually just come in and build on a lot. They would always have lots of options. They would have homes that were already ready. There was so much that you could do with builders pre-pandemic. But Taylor Morrison decided to move to bidding, and I'm not ragging on them. Toll Brothers followed suit, went to bidding shortly after that, after doing like a wait list or something. And my point in sharing that with you is once people saw the beautiful hills that were here and the pricing, it was shocking. Like people were saying, wow, you can get that at that price? I would pay $100,000, $200,000 higher. It would still be a deal. And that concept is what caused the bidding to get wild. When I say wild, so that started late 2020 in this community. Then 2021, the bidding just got worse and worse. What people were not seeing is the builders were raising base prices throughout that process. So they would hear from one of their friends on a WhatsApp group that somebody who won a bid 200,000. So they would bid the next month 220. What they weren't seeing is the builder was increasing the base price 40,000 or 50,000. So they thought they were only going to pay $20,000 higher than the guy the month before them. What they didn't realize is they were paying $70,000 or $80,000 higher month over month, which is obviously wild. Even at the $1 million price range, that is a crazy increase to have month over month. But my point in sharing that with you is throughout that process, when I had a lot of clients bidding in Traviso, they were bidding in other places, in Leander or some of these other new build neighborhoods, I never had one person win in this community. And to this day, that is something that I take pride in because I was telling people, honestly, everyone who's winning is overbidding, in Traviso especially. And I apologize if somebody is watching this video who was in there. I'm not putting you at fault. I think it was a very tough time to understand pricing. But at that time, there were people that were bidding on these lots, not just 200,000, they were bidding 400, 500, 600, 700,000. In fact, one of the highest bids I think was $800,000. And you might be thinking, how could that be possible? But when you see views like this, I'm gonna go right back out to that balcony, so I want you to see that again. There were people that were just falling in love with the community, bidding on top of each other. And when they were under contract, they had big deposits down. When I say big, I'm talking about $200,000 down already with the builder. So if they leave the contract, they lose that money. And I felt terrible for all of those people. But what ended up happening is when the market softened a little bit, it pulled back, I got a call from a builder saying, hey, I got a first come, first serve opportunity in Traviso, and my client was one of the first ones to get those. And to this day, I never had anybody buy a home through bidding in Traviso. And now my clients are getting in on opportunities like this that have views like this that are amazing. And it's because they waited for the right time or at the end of a phase. And that's something I want to cover with you right here. On a weekly basis, I'm touring streets that look like this. They have so much construction going on, and it's because I'm always interested in new phases that are coming up in these communities. Like, check out this phase of Traviso that's coming up in a matter of months from the time I'm recording this. It's gonna have east-facing lots that back up to privacy, but you do have some electrical wiring behind some of these lots. And so these are the different things that I'm factoring in. I'm also constantly tracking prices with builders. What are their base prices? What are their lot premiums? What are their lot premiums for view lots? What are the incentives that they're putting out there on a weekly, monthly basis? How are they changing that? And that's what we're using to identify the best opportunities. So if you want to know what those opportunities look like, get on my weekly newsletter. I'm constantly showing people what's coming up that nobody else is talking about. It's either at the top of the description of this video if you're watching this on your cell phone, or just scan this QR code that's on the right side of your screen, and that will take you to my free newsletter that shows you lots. But if you really want to know what pricing looks like for you, you want to know your best options, it's all based on your criteria, and I'd be happy to discuss that with you. Either book a call using the link at the bottom of the description of this video, or just scan this QR code, and that will go to a text message that goes right to my cell phone. You just have to click send, and I'd be happy to talk with you. Now, if you want to see some other homes, you want to get to know more about what's out there in the Austin, Texas metro, then let me know what you think about this home that YouTube's recommending for you. And as always, I hope this helps. Take care, everyone.